ASHRAE, you ready for this? Well, let's go. We're back, live and in the same room. It's destiny. So much better than the questions we hear inside of Zoom. So this is my confession, see, and I dare not say it quietly. I'm ready for this like eclipse to moon. You're ready for this like Vegas trips at noon, like my flight's leaving soon, like peace that consumes your soul. So let me take control of your minds for just a minute and welcome you to the ASHRAE show. Because we all know it's a party everywhere ASHRAE go, so don't be tardy. That's why it's so good to see so many of my ASHRAE family with smiles in all directions standing next to me in all perfection. In this space, let's make haste with true connections in hopes to carry home new knowledge of true infections found in the ASHRAE College. So in this selection, I welcome you to the aroma of Vegas. A city in motion to take us to the home of gamblers and shake us with high stakes notions. Bartenders causing commotions, brewing elixirs and exotic potions, no foam. Icy illuminated fountains all around me, and 11 oceans don't roam that will have your minds floating by all the way home. I can see the smile in your eye, floating. And I'm excited, no lie, hoping to announce that this week's headliner isn't Penn and Teller or that Chris Angel fella. No Blue Man Group or improv troupe, Celine Dion or Prince tribute. But let's go crazy anyway. No Cirque to rock or Carrot Top to watch, so don't get lazy anyway. And it's certainly not me, even with my dope poetry. But it's cool, because the real star, front and center, is you. It's true. So let's do the most in this 5-day conference ASHRAE is hosting. An industry celebration offering knowledge, elevation of HVAC and refrigeration, skill recalibration with tool optimization, reconnecting relations to the mighty ASHRAE nation. As we rise like inflation and offer supplies, keep up with the pacing of all the papers and panels. So don't change the channels you're facing. Because we got seminars and forums. Workshops, ASHRAE's all for 'em. HVAC, energy efficiency, sustainability, diversity is definitely in the mix. The 411 on decarb, straight out of COP26. So much to learn, no rebarb, so come get your fix of amazing tours and compelling tech talks. There's even a fun run to watch trailing techs walk to networking and mixers. But please be careful with those liquors, especially at regional dinners. Vegas plus you equals regional winners. Whether you're virtual or live, all of you have arrived front and center to ASHRAE's 2022 Winter Conference and AHR Expo. So are you sure you're ready for this? Because here we go. Thank you very much. And now, please put your hands together for our president, Mr. Mick Schwedler. Thanks.
Good afternoon and welcome to Las Vegas. For those virtually, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining us at ASHRAE 2022 Winter Conference and AHR Expo. At this time, I declare the meeting of ASHRAE members officially open. Oh boy, after 2 years, we're excited to be back together, now in a hybrid format where we can connect both in person and virtually. We trust this will provide an exceptional experience for all of you, whether you're in the room or around the world. ASHRAE's vision of advancing the arts and sciences of HVAC and their allied fields over the course of our history has been absolutely unprecedented. ASHRAE's work, your work, continues to improve the built environment and will do that for generations to come. Have a great conference, and we have this planned for you. Here we're going to share some highlights of the hybrid aspect of our conference. This section is being live streamed to our virtual audience, joining us today from around the world. We'd like to thank Climate Control Group for their sponsorship of the live stream. There will be 14 live stream sessions, which include the plenary session, the President's Luncheon, 10 technical sessions, and also 2 sponsor sessions. In-person attendees who attend the live stream sessions can use their mobile devices through the ASHRAE 365 app to participate in the question and answer and chat with those virtual attendees and in real time. The app also has a detailed schedule that notes which sessions are in person, virtual, or hybrid. The virtual environment is where virtual attendees can watch live stream sessions and add questions and comments. The virtual environment also provides the host of benefits for all conference attendees, both in person and virtual. Here are some of those. Recordings of the live stream sessions, downloaded copies of the conference papers, sponsors virtual kiosks, networking chat lounge and message boards, as well as the opportunity to earn ASHRAE badges and for the opportunity to, if you can believe it in Las Vegas, win a prize. And finally, all conference attendees, both in person and virtual, will have access to the virtual conference for the next 12 months. Now that you have a better understanding of how the hybrid format works, we're going to give you an overview of what you can expect during this week. There are more than 300 committee meetings occurring at this conference. They'll focus on research, standards, the business of our society. These meetings are open to all attendees. More than 100 committee meetings have already taken place virtually before the conference. We also invite you to share your thoughts about the work and the operation of ASHRAE through 2 sessions with our board of directors in an open session, taking place in this room tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. and 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Check the ASHRAE 365 app for information on how to join these sessions if you're remote. The technical program kicks off tomorrow with 7 tracks, over 82 technical sessions, and about 260 speakers. You'll also offer 20 ASHRAE Learning Institute courses, kicking off today and continuing through Tuesday. And finally, do not miss the AHR Expo. It's located in the north and central halls of the Las Vegas Convention Center and opens Monday at 10 a.m. Be sure to stop by the ASHRAE booth number C2906. It sounds kind of like playing bingo, but C2906 is where you want to be. We appreciate you being here, and it's a privilege to be here with you, whether it's in your room, at your workplace, or here in the room in Las Vegas. It's because of your hard work that we are able to achieve what we have, the operational excellence for people living in those buildings, working in those buildings in the built environment. This is the first time that we've convened in person since 2020, and we are absolutely thrilled to be back, and we appreciate you making the effort to be here. And those online, the effort to be with us that way. We're going to reconnect with our friends, share our insights and innovations to carry out our mission to serve humanity. I encourage you to take full advantage of all that the conference has to offer, and I very much appreciate you being here. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Devin Abalon, Region 10 Director and Regional Chair. And when I was in their region in December, he was an awesome chauffeur through California, Nevada, and Arizona. Please give it up for Devin.
Thank you, Mick. Wow, it is so great to see all of you here today. You know, when I was first told that I'd be addressing the audience here in Las Vegas, my first thought was, hey, I'm gonna go up dressed like Elvis, Vegas Elvis, and deliver this address in my very best Elvis impersonation. Right? Vegas, right? Well, lucky for you, my wife convinced me otherwise. She told me that my very best Elvis impersonation was still very, very bad. And so I'm gonna spare you the awkwardness, I'll spare myself the embarrassment, and come to you today as Devin Abalon, Director and Regional Chair for Region 10. And on behalf, oh, thank you. And on behalf of the dynamic, enthusiastic, passionate volunteer members of Region 10, California, Arizona, Nevada, and Hawaii, And on behalf of the Southern Nevada Host Chapter, it's my pleasure to welcome you, all of you, whether you're coming to us here live in Las Vegas or whether you're watching online, to the 2022 Winter Conference. It's hard to believe that it's been 2 years since we all met as an ASHRAE family back in Orlando for the 2020 Winter Conference. And it's been 5 years since we came together here at Caesar's Palace, and a lot has changed since then. Obviously, we've seen the landscape of our industry and society evolve as we've grappled with this global pandemic. The virtual conferences that we've held and this now first ever hybrid conference are examples of ways that ASHRAE has pivoted, how we've carefully and thoughtfully adjusted on the fly to ensure a safe environment for all attendees. A few things have changed here in Las Vegas as well. Las Vegas is now home to a state-of-the-art NFL facility, Allegiant Stadium. There are a lot of new resorts, new attractions. And when we were here 5 years ago, the motto for Las Vegas was, "What happens in Vegas?" That's wrong. Did you know that? It's not that anymore. So there's a new motto, and the new motto is, maybe you've heard it, is, "What happens here only happens here." What happens here only happens here. And I think that while the Conference and Exposition Committee has done a phenomenal job putting together a virtual program, and while we'll all have many opportunities to participate in hybrid meetings, which will be very, very effective, I think there's some sort of magic that happens, that only happens here. It only happens when ASHRAE volunteers, friends, colleagues, all get together in person to collaborate, to debate, to make our industry stronger. And that only happens when we have that human connection, when we're able to connect at the conference. So for those of you who've come to Vegas here in this room, thank you. I know that for many of you, it wasn't an easy decision to make. For many of you, it wasn't an easy task. While you're here, I invite you to take advantage of the opportunity to reconnect, properly socially distanced, of course, at the many events that the Southern Nevada chapter has worked so hard over the past year to put together for you. And I'd just like to highlight a few. We're going to kick things off later on this evening with the welcome party in style, outdoors, to allow for better natural airflow and social distancing. This will be, again, at the iconic Caesar's Palace pool for our welcome party. I believe that's where Caesar went swimming when he lived here. It was a long time ago. We'll wrap things up on Tuesday night with our Hawaiian-themed 9th Island Members Night Out. And this is one party you will not want to miss. We'll have a live band, luau games, we'll have some island dancers. I think there's going to be a limbo contest with some really great prizes. So make sure you get tickets for that. In between, we're going to have, well, the committee has worked very hard to put together some great general and technical tours, including an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of Allegiant Stadium, home of your Las Vegas Raiders. This is really a great tour. Tickets are still available, but I encourage you to get signed up for that. It's really one that you will not want to miss, and something that the host committee, they really pulled out all the stops to get that tour put together. So at this time, I'd like to recognize the host committee, Lance Banks, and the entire Southern Nevada Host Chapter Committee. They've worked incredibly hard over the past year plus to ensure that this conference is a success. So please join me in a round of applause for these amazing ASHRAE volunteers. I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge the hard work of the volunteer committees that worked on the past 3 conferences. And even though the pandemic unfortunately forced us to pivot those conferences to virtual, those committees, those teams put in countless hours, days, weeks, months planning events all for ASHRAE members. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Region 8 DRC, Randy Schreckengoss, and the 2020 Annual Conference Austin Host Committee, led by Bill Clock and the Austin chapter. Region 6 DRC, Rick Hermans, and the 2021 Winter Conference Chicago Host Committee, led by Chad Powell and the Illinois chapter. And finally, the 2021 Annual Conference Phoenix Host Committee, led by Don Brandt from the Central Arizona chapter. So it's been a long time since we've all had the opportunity to get together in person like this, but we're here now, right? So I'd like to invite you to take advantage of this opportunity to enjoy the sheer spectacle of Las Vegas with your friends, with your colleagues. If you have any questions about tours, different events, where to go find the best sushi, where to go shopping, where to go hiking, please feel free to visit the host desk, which is down over at registration. You can also find any of our host committee volunteers who will be conspicuously wearing one of these super cool visors. So look for the visors. I don't see any visors. Okay, you'll see them. You'll see them out. They're busy at work. So we hope you have a safe and memorable stay here in Las Vegas, and we hope that you enjoy the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Devin. At this time, we're going to present our Presidential Certificate of Honor. This award is presented as a special honor by the ASHRAE President to recognize members who have made a unique and lasting contribution to our society's well-being and also our world's well-being. This year's Presidential Certificate of Honor is awarded to ASHRAE's Epidemic Task Force. The certificate reads, "For their service on the ASHRAE Epidemic Task Force and dedication to protecting the public during the COVID-19 pandemic." At this time, please join me in welcoming Bill Bonfleth, Chair of the ETF.
President Schwedler, on behalf of the members of the Epidemic Task Force, thank you for this recognition of our work over the past 2 years. It's deeply appreciated. We still have work to do to complete our mission, but the finish line is in sight at last, we hope. We thought it would be a one-year engagement. The accomplishments of the ETF are in many ways unprecedented in the history of ASHRAE. Rapid and effective response to a global crisis, producing widely used, comprehensive guidance in months that might normally have taken years to develop. A massive communication and advocacy effort via webinars, hundreds of media contacts, publications, and even congressional testimony to make stakeholders, from members of the public to government agencies, aware of ASHRAE guidance and other ASHRAE resources. And a new and hopefully permanent increase in public recognition of what ASHRAE is and does and why it's important to society. For better or worse, we've made MERV 13 a household word. Thank you, filter manufacturers. None of this would have been possible without the contributions of many who are not being given certificates today, and I want to say a few words about those people as well. More than 100 additional members of the teams led by core ETF members drawn from ASHRAE's committees and even from outside organizations, and also liaisons from key society committees contributed greatly to this work. Government Activities Committee and ASHRAE's grassroots, which have played an essential role in disseminating guidance to the public and facilitating important contacts with government, have been amazing partners in all of this work. The staff members who have supported our work in myriad ways: Steve Hammerling, Vanita Gupta, Alice Yates, Stephanie Reinisch, and others. And also partner organizations that have participated in many meetings and collaborated on significant projects: the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, New York State Energy Research and Development Administration, the American Institute of Architects, U.S. Green Building Council, and others. And finally, even those critics and supporters who have helped shape our guidance through their constructive criticism and feedback. We're grateful, and it has helped a lot. I also must acknowledge ASHRAE's leadership for recognizing the need for a timely and aggressive effort to respond to the pandemic. and for giving the ETF the freedom and resources to do what it deemed necessary. So as you can see, the ETF is really just the hub of an ASHRAE-wide effort, and I thank all our members, including you, and our friends for their support and encouragement. And so now I'll assist President Schroedler in presenting the Presidential Certificates of Honor to those members of the ETF core group who are here today. As I read your name and as directed by staff, please come to the stage to receive your award. Dennis Knight, our Vice Chair and Communications Team Lead. Brett Cochran, Laboratories Team Lead. Corey Metzger, Schools Team Lead. Luke Leon, Commercial Retail Team Lead. As well as our Environmental Health Committee Liaison. Not here. Rick Hermans, our Research Team Lead. Stephanie Taylor, a Literature Review and Scientific Background Team. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Yeah. Wade Conlon, Resource Inventory and Building Readiness Team Lead. I believe that's everyone. No, not yet. They're just not scrolling up. Jim Reidenauer, Consultant. John McKernan, Industrial Team Lead. And we'll also mention the other core team members who were unable to join in person. Jason DeGraw, the Transportation Team Lead. Pavel Vargashki, the Applications Team Lead. Steve Martin, Filtration and Disinfection Team Lead. And Tracy Hannigan, Healthcare Team Lead. Walid Shakroon, Developing Economies Team Lead. Max Sherman, Residential Team Lead. And now that's all, Mr. President.
Well, not quite. Bill, we'd ask you to stay on stage, please. And on behalf of all of ASHRAE, we want to thank you personally for your leadership of the Epidemic Task Force, for your tireless commitment, the many, many hours, days and nights when you were up in the middle of the night giving presentations for other areas of the world. And please rise and help me thank Bill Bonfleth for his work. This isn't one person, it isn't one group. It takes so many different people. So we're going to read the names of official liaisons for this past year. First, Tim McGinn, and we're just going to read through this, so if you can scroll up. Mike Pochek, Rick Hayden, Larry Smith, Chad Smith, Luke Leung, and then Bill McQuaid, people from last year, because like Bill said, it went 2 years. Chris Wilkins, Drew Crawley, Dustin Meredith, Terry Townsend, Wei Sun, Jay Kohler, Wei Stoppelmore, Wade Conlon, Waleed Shakroon. More than 150 members, but it didn't just stop there, because they gave the information out to the world, but you, our grassroots, took it to the people who needed it, to the building owners and operators to open up their buildings, for the staff and students in schools to get safely back into their buildings. So it's not just the ETF, it's our grassroots members, it's you who have taken and moved our world forward. So please give yourselves a hand too. Now, in the true nature of hybrid, it's my pleasure to introduce Nick Lemure, the chair of Honors and Awards Committee.
Bonjour, good afternoon. The Honors and Awards program recognizes dedicated ASHRAE members who voluntarily give freely of their time and expertise to advance the arts and science of HVAC&R, to serve humanity, and promote a sustainable world. Through this program, we acknowledge those who contribute to our society, our industry, and our world in a meaningful manner. Our award recipients exemplify the best in engineering and engineering technology by continually bringing credit to the profession and the society. On behalf of the Honors and Awards Committee, I am pleased to recognize the women and men listed in the program for their many contributions. Let me be the first to say, congratulations on your achievements. Bravo.
And now we start the awards portion of our program. Some of our awards recipients will not be joining us in person, but they are likely joining us virtually. So as they're recognized, let's applaud them so they hear it no matter where they are in the world. Our first award recognizes our next generation of engineers, the students who are in first place in the student design competition and the SETI Family Foundation Applied Engineering Challenge. In the 2021 student design competitions, student teams put their engineering prowess into work by designing a new 50,000 square foot, for us international people, that'd be 5,000 square meters, a building on a higher education campus in British Columbia, Canada. The building would provide safe and healthy storage of food materials on the lower level and provide enough kitchen space and permanent seating service to a peak attendance of 720 students and a total of 3,000 students per day. And here are your winners.
First place in HVAC system selection goes to Ferris State University, Big Rapids, Michigan. Team members are Evan Eldred, Cole Quinlan, Nick Sharamsky, Brian Van Scapen, Cole Weber, and Jordani T. Williams. First place in HVAC design calculations goes to the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia. Team members are Brandon Jung, Aaron Lee, Lukengo Mio, Kyle Vanderhorst, and Taeyung Jeff Yoon. First place in Integrated Sustainable Building Design goes to Pennsylvania State University, State College, Pennsylvania. Team members are Andre Cosini, Sinyan Liu, Christopher Matesky, Andrew McGrail, Romany C. Pon, and Christopher Eunice. In the 2021 SETI Family Foundation Applied Engineering Challenge, students were challenged to design an indoor farming system to meet the needs of a local community with regards to single or multifamily residential construction. First place goes to California Polytechnic State University, San Luis Obispo, California. Team members are Adam Bessie, Ryan Salazar, and Matthew Malonzo.
The ASHRAE Technology Awards recognize outstanding achievements by members who have successfully applied innovative building systems and designs. Their designs incorporate ASHRAE standards and effective energy management and high indoor environmental quality. The awards communicate innovative system design and highlight technological achievements of ASHRAE to many around the world. Winning projects are selected from entries earning regional awards. The Award of Engineering Excellence was created in 1989 to recognize a first-place winner of the Society-Level Technology Award competition for an outstanding application of innovative design and effective energy utilization. The recipient of the Award of Engineering Excellence will have demonstrated the best overall compliance with the judging criteria. And here are your winners.
In the category of New Commercial Buildings and for the Award of Engineering Excellence, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners Shiro Sokami, Kitaro Mizuede, and Hirotaka Kubo for the Diagate Ikebukuro building in Tokyo, Japan.
Japan's a long way.
The building is owned by Cebu Properties, Inc. and is represented today by Ruichi Sato.
Now we recognize the first place ASHRAE Technology Award projects, which demonstrate the most outstanding achievements in the design and operation of energy-efficient buildings.
In the category of existing commercial buildings, ASHRAE recognizes first place winner Hermes Silva Flores for the Hotel Mandarin Oriental project in Santiago, Chile. The building is owned by Hotel Mandarin Oriental Santiago and is represented today by Claudio Leighton. In the category of existing building commissioning for educational facilities, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners Jason Bowles, Matt Branham, Brian Duvall, and Brady McPherson Hathaway for the Kentucky Community and Technical College System project in Louisville, Kentucky. The building is owned by Kentucky Community and Technical College System and is represented today by Dick Mink. In the category of existing educational facilities, ASHRAE recognizes first place winner, Lincoln Pierce, for the Iowa State University Marston Hall renovation in Ames, Iowa. In the category of new educational facilities, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners, Donald Hardigan Jr., Asfanjar Khan, and Sudesh Saraf for the Adlai E. Stevenson High School East Building Project in Lincolnshire, Illinois. The building is owned by Adlai E. Stevenson High School and is represented today by Sean Carney. In the category of new healthcare facilities, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners, Nicholas Rogers, Tracy Stewart, and David Mayer for the Norton Novak Center for Children's Health Project in Louisville, Kentucky. The building is owned by Norton Healthcare and represented today by Jeff Carty. In the existing industrial facilities or processes category, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners, Dennis McHale, Bradley Herbeck, and Ryan Cowan for the Stellantis Sterling Heights Assembly Plant Project in Sterling Heights, Michigan. The building is owned by Stellantis and represented by Eric Gettel and Madhu Rao. In the new industrial facilities or processes category, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners Shayna Scheiber and Rick Flock for the Exact Sciences Lab Project in Madison, Wisconsin. The building is owned by Exact Sciences and represented today by Jeff Bartels. In the new public assembly category, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners Leighton Deere and Brad Grubb for the Westwood Hills Nature Center project in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. The building is owned by the City of St. Louis Park, Minnesota, and is represented today by Brian Hoffman. In the residential category, ASHRAE recognizes first place winners Dustin Langell and Don McLaughlin for the 3833 North Broadway project in Chicago, Illinois. The building is owned by 3817 45 North Broadway, Inc. and is represented today by David Gassman.
Wow, what great designs. Thank you for taking the time to submit, and those who do the volunteering, the folks in CTTC, for getting those awards coming forward. Our next award recognizes an honorary member given to notable persons of preeminent professional distinction. William Bill Nye, popularly known as Bill Nye the Science Guy and viewed in the Schwedler household, is an American mechanical engineer, science communicator, and television presenter. He's best known for the host of the science television show, Bill Nye the Science Guy, and for his many appearances in popular media as a science educator. He's CEO of the Planetary Society of Pasadena, California. While he could not be in attendance, let's thank Bill for his contributions to science. At this time, please join me in welcoming Executive Vice President Jeff Littleton to present the Secretary's reports. Jeff, please.
Thank you very much, President Schwedler, and it is absolutely fantastic to be back face to face. I'm so excited. Yeah. Thank you for joining us here in Las Vegas this week. What a crazy world this has become. If the new normal is engaging with the world through a computer screen, I want the old normal back. I want this. I want to be face to face with ASHRAE colleagues and friends. I want bar-side banter and hallway chatter. I want smiles and spontaneous laughter. I even want to overhear a passionate debate about whether to use the word shall or should in an informative appendix. I miss that. Now, my wife says that's a little sad, but I do. I miss that. And most importantly, I want to celebrate the Society's accomplishments, and I want to do all of that here, live and in person with the ASHRAE community. After 2 years of the virtual life, this is the old normal I think we all want. Because when this group comes together, when the ASHRAE family reunites, amazing things happen. So give yourself a hand again just for being here. You persevered. Congratulations. Woo! So it's terrific to be back, and we really have come back strong. The AHR Expo starts Monday, as you've already heard, with 1,589 exhibiting companies occupying more than 443,000 net square feet of exhibit space. There are 281 international exhibitors, 281, which is remarkable given the border and quarantine issues, and there are 124 first-time exhibitors. More than 43,000 people have pre-registered to attend the show. There are even 130 media representatives registered. And after a 2-year hiatus, the show is going to be packed with new technologies, so please get over to the expo whenever you can. Here at the ASHRAE Winter Conference, we expect about 2,000 people with another 500 participating remotely. So we're not setting a record here this week, but under the circumstances, that's a really strong showing for both the conference and the expo. It's really good stuff. So we are back in a really big way. A prelude to being back face-to-face here in Las Vegas was the face-to-face grand opening of your new Society headquarters building in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, and that was held this past November, just a couple of months ago. We had a fancy dinner, we celebrated donors, we gave speeches, we gave tours, we cut ribbons. It was a high-energy event with some 250-plus participants. That renovation of that 1978 building to create ASHRAE's net zero energy headquarters may well have been the most time-intensive volunteer project in ASHRAE's history. And as we start to close that project out, I want to again celebrate the volunteer committee that made that new headquarters happen. They are Ginger Scoggins, Daryl Boyce, Blake Ellis, Michael Cooper, Tim McGinn, Don Brandt, and Kent Peterson. Let's show them again how much we appreciate. Incredibly hard work, 3 years of managing that project. And I enjoy it every day, so thank you very much. And a friendly reminder that it's your building. Come see it, come use it, take a tour. We'd love to see you face-to-face in Peachtree Corners. Like the Headquarters Ad Hoc Committee, another group of incredibly dedicated volunteers are those elected to serve on your ASHRAE Board of Directors. The board is working really hard on a number of really important issues. A DEI board subcommittee is focused on proactively driving diversity, equity, and inclusion at all levels of the society. Task groups have been formed to drive society strategies on decarbonization and on international standards. Other task groups are studying how to optimize the size of the board and how to reduce society bureaucracy to create a more nimble, market-responsive organization. The board even recently approved an update to the Society Strategic Plan, extending it through 2025 and adding important goals related to decarbonization. The board has been busy, and they are also recommending changes to the society bylaws, and I'm required to announce those proposed changes at this meeting of members. And you will be asked to vote on those bylaw changes this spring in the spring ballot, along with the election of board officers and directors. The board's first recommended bylaws change would shift the term for elected society vice presidents from 2 consecutive one-year terms with elections in each year to 1 two-year term. And that change really just sort of codifies what we've been doing in practice anyway, so it's not a big deal. Another bylaws change clarifies that VPs, those vice presidents, can not be elected for consecutive terms. So a vice president cannot serve for 4 years in a row on the executive committee. The ballot will also include a proposed change to the ASHRAE Certificate of Consolidation, which is sort of like Articles of Incorporation. The proposal would change the possible board size for ASHRAE from between 15 and 48 members to between 9 and 48 members. So it would reduce the lowest possible number of board members from 15 to 9. Importantly, this change does not change the size of the board. The board is currently set at 32 members. This change simply creates a range of possibilities for the size of the board. So no immediate changes. As we return to the old normal face-to-face meeting for the first time in 2 years, I'm happy to report that the society is on solid financial footing. The pandemic has reduced revenues tied to conferences and in-person training, but we have seen revenue growth in e-learning and in advertising. Financial reserves are strong, more than $20 million, and we will emerge from this pandemic in good form financially. Like most organizations, we have seen some member attrition during the pandemic, but that trend has started to plateau and reverse in recent months, and we remain a really strong global community of more than 50,000 members supporting 199 chapters in 15 regions. I spoke of the incredible dedication of volunteers serving on the Headquarters Ad Hoc Committee and the Board of Directors, but it doesn't stop there. The commitment of ASHRAE's entire global membership to the Society's work has never wavered during the pandemic, and I find that truly remarkable. When so much of our professional and personal lives have been disrupted, some 7,000 ASHRAE volunteers at the Society, regional, and chapter levels continue to drive ASHRAE forward. For example, in the past 12 months, we've released 14 new and 24 revised publications and standards. New publications include the ASHRAE Design Guide for Natural Ventilation and the ASHRAE Guide for HVAC in Hazardous Spaces. We've even released a new children's book, Lucy's Engineering Adventure. We want to get those future ASHRAE members indoctrinated as early as possible, of course. Already, believe it or not, more than 500 copies of Lucy's Engineering Adventure have already been sold. So, speaking of sales, you can see Lucy and all of those new publications in the ASHRAE bookstore here in Caesars Palace. There's an awful lot of new titles there that have been added over the past 2 years. So shop early, shop often, spend all of your money here at the bookstore. And if you win something in the casino, you can come back and spend more. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've said this several times. I don't remember if I said that last year, but just don't forget that Valentine's Day is right around the corner, right? And nothing says you care quite like a fresh copy of that duct systems design guide. So position yourself for a really exciting Valentine's Day. Hit the ASHRAE bookstore. It'll be really fun in February, so enjoy that. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. In the next 6 months, we expect to release another 16 new or revised publications and standards, including Designing for Operational Excellence, Healthier Homes During Epidemics, and a new installment in the Advanced Energy Design Guide series on net zero energy multi-family buildings. We'll also have more opportunities for old normal face-to-face meetings in the coming months. The ASHRAE IAQ conference will take place in Athens, Greece this May, and will converge in Toronto for a pair of meetings. The 13th International Industrial Ventilation Conference for Containment Control will be in Toronto June 22 to 24, followed immediately by the ASHRAE 2022 annual meeting June 25 through 29. So take advantage of that Toronto conference combo. So I've emphasized the importance of the old normal return to face-to-face meetings that I know everyone has missed. But there are new challenges and opportunities hurtling towards ASHRAE that are far from normal. You know, back in the 1970s, when the country was faced with oil embargoes and energy shortages in the U.S., the Department of Energy came to ASHRAE to help reduce the energy footprint of the built environment. The resulting creation of what we now know as Standard 90.1 was a pivotal point in our society's history. I'd offer that a similar crisis demands ASHRAE's best today. ASHRAE and its members, you, are uniquely qualified to drive carbon out of buildings as the world comes to grip with the realities of climate change. We have to allocate resources and move quickly, decisively to harness member wisdom to facilitate the transition to a carbon-free built environment. The regulations and the goals and the metrics for buildings are transitioning from energy, and energy will always be important, but they're transitioning from energy to carbon, and we as a society must be hyper-responsive to that transition. There are at least 15 papers at this conference focused on building decarbonization. Take that opportunity to learn and engage on this critical issue. Some 130 volunteers on the ASHRAE Task Force for Building Decarbonization, or TFBD, are already hard at work, and we must continue to rally ASHRAE's technical might to address this challenge as quickly as possible. Presidential member Don Colliver reminds us that we expect to add 2.5 trillion square feet to the global building stock by 2060, and that's the equivalent of building a New York City every month. The carbon footprint of buildings must be reduced, and ASHRAE, your expertise, ASHRAE's expertise, is critical to that effort. So thank you again for being here and for your long-standing support of ASHRAE. Enjoy this old normal face-to-face meeting. Be safe, and let's make this an abnormally productive meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. We now present ASHRAE's personal awards for general and specific society activities. These award recipients exemplify the best in engineering technology by continually bringing credit to the profession and to our society. Here are our honorees.
The E.K. Campbell Award of Merit, given by the Life Members Club. The award recognizes outstanding service and achievement in teaching. ASHRAE honors Tom Lawrence. The ASHRAE Award for Distinguished Public Service recognizes members who have performed outstanding public service in their community. ASHRAE recognizes Stephen Williams. The John F. James International Award honors a member who has done the most to enhance the Society's global presence. ASHRAE recognizes Karine LeBlanc. The Yay Inspirational Leader Award honors a young engineer in ASHRAE member who has gone above and beyond to make considerable contributions to the industry and community. ASHRAE recognizes Badri Patel.
Now, please join us in recognizing the accomplishment of those members who have attained distinctions and made substantial contributions to HVAC&R in the built environment. The following 25 members are being elevated to ASHRAE Fellow, which is the Society's highest membership grade.
Life member and professor Edward Ahrens produced an extensive number of publications works for various research journals, as well as ASHRAE's transactions on topics addressing thermal comfort, urban form and climate, prediction methods and design tools for natural ventilation, energy efficiency, and the performance of task conditioning systems. His research activities have led to numerous honors, including 3 ASHRAE Best Technical Paper Awards. Robert Bean spent his career focused on the design of indoor environments and high-performance building systems, using high-performance building strategies on multi-use industrial facilities and single-family residential projects. In addition to being a revered instructor for the ASHRAE Learning Institute and serving as an ASHRAE Distinguished Lecturer, he has authored numerous technical papers and articles, including a collaborative piece on the history of radiant heating and cooling systems that earned him ASHRAE's Lou Flagg Historical Award. Life member Don Brandt has devoted his decades-long career to the HVAC&R industry, completing central plant chiller projects, and as a dedicated ASHRAE volunteer, serving at the chapter, regional, and society levels. His technical expertise on fundamentals of psychrometrics has made him a trusted ASHRAE Learning Institute instructor to countless classrooms of industry professionals. James Butler has been an innovator in embedded networking technology for building automation. As the founding manager of BACnet Testing Laboratories and a member of ASHRAE's BACnet Committee Information Technology Working Group, he has been a significant contributor to the Facility Smart Grid Information Model and the BACnet Test Standard and Protocol. Peter de Vilda is a leading researcher and practitioner of building performance analysis, with extensive contributions to academia and the industry alike in the energy performance gaps and climate change adaptation. His acclaimed Building Performance Analysis textbook has received the endorsement of industry organizations and is considered by many to be the most comprehensive book on the subject. Life member T2 Doctor spent a long and respected career as a researcher testing water heat pumps, indoor pool dehumidifiers, and thermal energy. In addition to chairing ASHRAE Standard 190 Committee for testing the rating of indoor pool dehumidifiers, he has also been an active participant of technical committees 8.10 and 6.6. Stuart Doles has led a multi-year project for the development tools to analyze IAQ and ventilation in buildings, resulting in significant contributions to the IAQ modeling community and continued enhancement of the most widely used IAQ analysis software in the world. His contributions to the launch of an online resource used in response to the global SARS-CoV-2 pandemic enables users to evaluate engineered solutions to reduce occupant exposure to infectious aerosols generated within a space. Brian Fricke's work in the area of commercial refrigerants includes leading a collaborative research and development effort with team members from Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Among many notable projects, his leadership guided the publishing of a federally endorsed greenhouse gas reduction fact sheet announcing the ambitious commitments of the private sector to reduce potent greenhouse gases. Shi-Chen Hu has worked on more than 30 projects concerning clean room design for semiconductor fabrication plants, highlighting the importance of airflow and contamination control on HVAC equipment. In addition to serving as a co-author of the ASHRAE Design Guide for Clean Rooms, he has mentored hundreds of students at all levels who are now active in the field of HVAC&R industry. Joe Huang's research on climate change, fenestration, and energy efficiency has been recognized within the society and among HVAC&R engineers around the world. As a member of a work group tasked with providing policymakers with scientific assessments on climate change, he described the future energy demand in the building sector in a report, and the group was honored with the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize. Luke Leung was involved in the design of an award-winning 162-story tower, deemed the world's tallest building, while exploring findings in microclimates and temperature lapse rates. His tall building research has been published and incorporated into numerous projects, including one to create a new design methodology by optimizing an extensive spectrum of 675 different types of fins in a shading study. Igor Maevsky was responsible for station ventilation and air conditioning design of 2 underground stations, combining subway environmental simulation with the calling load hourly analysis to design a station air conditioning system. His innovative flow deflection vane system, which relieved piston pressure from trains away from the platform, resulted in millions of dollars of construction savings, as well as comfort for station patrons. Hugh Magande's Introduction to Thermofluids Systems Design focused on the design of internal fluid flow systems, coiled heat exchangers, and performance analysis of power plant systems, filling a crucial void in contemporary undergraduate curricula. He has served as a primary author for several operation and maintenance manuals for residential and commercial HVAC&R equipment, and has been awarded 2 patents for his work with combination space and water heating technology and combi system integrated controls. Tim McGinn's extensive green building design expertise includes low-temperature heating and high-temperature cooling systems, radiant heating and cooling, evaporative cooling, displacement and underfloor air systems, mixed-mode natural ventilation, and passive solar heating. His work on notable projects for University of Calgary, Edmonton International Airport, as well as a natural history museum, resulted in increased resiliency, temperature and humidity stability, and low operating cost. Life member Janice Means has been a contributor to significant industry publications related to sustainability, including ASHRAE Green Guide, Design, Construction, and Operation of Sustainable Buildings, and the Climate Change chapter of the 2021 ASHRAE Fundamentals Handbook. Recognized as an outstanding mentor, educator, and engineer, she has earned numerous awards, including ASHRAE's E.K. Campbell Award for Achievement in Teaching. Amy Musser has provided significant insight to the industry in the areas of indoor air quality, net zero energy homes, and energy reduction. As co-author of the ASHRAE Residential Indoor Air Quality Guide, she contributed to the expanded adoption of indoor air quality best practice to a wider audience, helping people apply these principles in homes. Jung O'Neill's accomplishments as a researcher include more than 90 published journal and referred conference papers on topics such as intelligent building operations, uncertainty quantifications in buildings, grid interactive efficient buildings, and smart, resilient, and connected communities and cities. She has served as research chair for ASHRAE Technical Committee 7.5 and has received numerous awards for her work, including ASHRAE's Innovative Research Grant and a Distinguished Service Award. Yozo Ooka has had a distinguished career as a professor and researcher, making significant contributions in the areas of thermal comfort and energy system design. His work on a zero-energy building in Tokyo, incorporating a groundwater heat pump system, radiant cooling heating panel, desiccant dehumidifier, photovoltaic system, and daylight use LED system, resulted in a 66% reduction in energy use. Chun-Chung Piao played a crucial role as an international expert in the screening and evaluation of next-generation refrigerants in China, delivering nearly 30 presentations and publications across global HVAC organizations. As a result of his efforts, a proposed A2L refrigerant was adopted by Chinese government, and Chinese HCFC phase-out management plan was accepted by the UN Environment Program. Life member Lee Ryback has led numerous large commissioning efforts, including a new corporate campus for a leading financial service firm in Dallas, Texas, the Biodiversity Museum of Panama, and the expansion of Caesar's Palace, the site of the 2022 ASHRAE Winter Conference. His commissioning contributions on the challenging LAX terminal modernization project is likely to be modeled by other major airports around the world. Charles Roos has made a substantial contribution to the building services industry in New Zealand, including the redevelopment of a rugby stadium, the construction of an international convention center, and a university learning center. His project leadership, clear technical thought process, and ability to introduce new technologies have made a positive impact on the advancement of building services design, the built environment, and a sustainable world. William Ryan has been extensively involved in the development and accreditation of master's degree programs in energy engineering, connecting engineering graduate students to the design communities in high-efficiency buildings and power generation. His efforts in the development of new course material targeted to 21st century technical training areas earned him ASHRAE's E.K. Campbell Award for teaching. Roger Schmidt led development teams in thermal design and the cooling of large-scale computers for more than 35 years. In addition to being an ASHRAE Learning Institute instructor and trusted authority on data center and electronic cooling, he has published more than 100 technical papers, has over 125 patents, and served as the co-founder of ASHRAE Technical Committee 9.9. Life member Celso Alexandre has built a distinguished career as a leader in indoor air quality throughout Latin America and Mexico for more than 40 years, designing and developing fire dampers for offshore oil platforms, a nuclear plant, and hospitals, among other projects. His air distribution expertise led him to write the first technical book on the subject in Portuguese and has been distributed to all Latin American countries. Philza Walters has spent her 30-year career designing comprehensive curriculum focused on mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems integration with structural architecture and construction, as well as established an integrated bachelor's-master's architectural engineering program to help fill the pipeline of HVAC&R building engineering graduates. Over a 10-year period, her program attracted and graduated a diverse student population, 50% of whom were women, and all students were placed in full-time career positions.
Wow. What amazing folks we get to meet, we get to work with, and we get to learn from each time we attend a conference and each time we get a chance to be together. We're now going to induct 2 of our members into the ASHRAE Hall of Fame. This year's inductees are Raymond G. Alvine and Alwyn B. Newton. Raymond and Alwyn have both made significant and lasting contributions to the advancement of heating and cooling over the course of their careers. At this time, please join me in welcoming Raymond's son, Doug, to accept the ASHRAE Hall of Fame recognition on his behalf. Doug?
Thank you, President Schwedler. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a special occasion for me to be here to receive this honor for the work of my father, Raymond Alvine. I want to thank everyone who supported awarding this honor, and in particular, a young man who's hanging out in the back of the room there, I think, Jake Kaposis. He single-handedly took the time and effort to put the submittal together for my father, and Jake is from the Nebraska chapter and has been extremely active in ASHRAE for many years. I was 4 years old when my dad decided to start his engineering business 60 years ago. I was one of 9 children, living with my parents in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. And I have 7 sisters. His dream was to create an engineering business that was known for its excellence, not its size. 2 of his foundational core values were, number 1, lifelong learning, and number 2, giving back to your profession. So Ray joined ASHRAE to do both. He participated at many levels over the years, and he and my mother traveled to many conferences like this all across the U.S. And sort of one of the highlights, it was in 1984, he and my mom traveled to China. And my dad, with a group of ASHRAE members, lectured at several Chinese universities at that time. My parents' very best lifelong friends were couples that they met at ASHRAE conferences like this. Excuse me. When my dad retired in 1994, we held a retirement party for him, and literally several hundred of his good ASHRAE friends came to celebrate his career and to honor him for what he has accomplished. And in 2005, when my dad passed away, again, many of those same friends came to honor his life and to support our family. I told my dad I wasn't going to do it. But, you know, what I would like to say, though, and it's, you've heard it up here a lot today, my dad gave a lot to ASHRAE, but as you all know, he got so much more in return. I mean, everything he gave, there was a huge amount that him and my mom got back. And I'm certain that he would consider this the highest honor that he received for his engineering career. So thank you for honoring this humble man from Burlington, Iowa, for what he was able to achieve. Thank you.
Wow again. And now we're going to welcome Alwyn's granddaughter, Kimberly Adams, to the stage to accept the ASHRAE Hall of Fame recognition on Alwyn's behalf. Please join me in recognizing Kimberly.
Thank you all so very much. Thank you. It's an incredible honor to be here and accept this award on behalf of my grandfather. He was an incredible man, 219 patents, and that didn't count all the amazing things that he created and didn't get a patent on. He was loving, he was kind, he was inventive, he was intelligent. He spread his knowledge to so many, but to me, he was grandpa. I always eagerly awaited every month that letter or the postcard. They were always full of adventures and travel. And he was always interested in whatever we were interested in. Whatever we were looking out, whatever we were excited about, he was excited about. He was so gentle, so sweet, so patient. And on behalf of him, myself, and our family, thank you for honoring him in such a beautiful way.
Our final award for today in ASHRAE's highest honor is the F. Paul Anderson Award. This award is named in memory of presidential member F. Paul Anderson for his notable achievements and outstanding services performed in the HVAC in our field. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce a friend, a fellow graduate student at the solar lab, and a volleyball player who could always jump higher than me, James E. Braun. Jim?
Thank you, Mick. I can no longer jump very high, but those were the days. It's a great honor to receive this award from ASHRAE. I want to thank the ASHRAE organization, my current and former students, my faculty collaborators, colleagues at Purdue, and my family. I've been involved in ASHRAE for nearly 40 years, beginning when I was a PhD student at the University of Wisconsin, where I met Mick. I think it's really important that everyone know, if you don't know already, what an amazing job that ASHRAE does, really, in getting students involved in the society through a variety of mechanisms, including funding of graduate student research. My research was funded. Grant and aid awards. I received a grant and aid award, student paper awards, et cetera. This carries over to young faculty with new investigator award and the innovative research awards. I was fortunate to be able to take advantage of most of those opportunities, and this led to really a career of research and development activities aligned with ASHRAE, ASHRAE interests. And so I truly believe that the investments that ASHRAE makes in students and young faculty are truly unique and really ensure a dynamic future for the society. My technical contributions that are the basis of this award certainly would have not been possible without the many great graduate students and faculty collaborators that I have had the pleasure of working with. I'm very appreciative of all their hard work and dedication. Many of them are involved in ASHRAE, active contributors, and were able to take advantage of many of the same opportunities that helped cement my relationship with ASHRAE. Finally, I would like to thank my family for all their support. Just over 20 years ago, coming up on 21 years now, my wife, Julie, who's here in the audience, and I welcomed triplets into the world. And it certainly was a challenge for both of us with balancing two careers while raising triplets. Julie used to suggest, only half-jokingly, that my trips to ASHRAE conferences were really my ASHRAE vacation. So I assume that most of you don't typically think of ASHRAE conferences as being a vacation, but just getting uninterrupted sleep during the early years for me was quite a breather. So thank you, Julie, for all of your support over the many years that we've been together, and especially during those first few years after the triplets were born. Yes, thank you. And the triplets, who are all students at Purdue, go Boilers. The triplets have grown out to be outstanding people, and I'd also like to thank them for really giving our life great meaning and balance, and it's been a fun ride, and I thank you all.
So please join me in giving one last round to all our award recipients, and thank you for the contributions to society. Before we move on to our keynote presentation, we're going to take a moment of silence to reflect on the ASHRAE members who passed away since our 2020 winter conference in Orlando, including our 1986 and 87 ASHRAE presidential member, Frederick Colas.